and as PLB with MLB News, back with another video. In today's video is going to be the biggest question for every MLB team for the 2020 season. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And link to the other channels in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to those as well. Let's go ahead and get into this video. Starting off in the AL East, and we're going to go to the Yankees, and it's going to be, is their starting pitching even that great? Because they do have Garrett Cole, but Garrett Cole can't lead the whole rotation. Besides that, they have Luis Severino, who's decent, but he pitched mostly in relief pitching last year, and as far as in the playoffs, so is he going to be good? James Paxton as well, he's good, but J.A. Happ, he's decent. Not great, but he's decent. Tanaka, he's okay. I mean, he can get you 5 innings, but besides that, eh. Okay, so for the Rays, that's going to be, do they win the AL East? Right now, they would be my favorites for the AL East to win it, just because they have better starting pitching and better pitching in general than the Rays and than the Yankees. And I think they're the favorites right now. I think they're going to have just enough hitting to win the AL East. The 2020 MLB season predictions will be coming out soon. So, Blue Jays. Do they call up Nate Pearson in 2020 to boost their starting rotation for a potential wild card run? I think they definitely probably will. It's just, will they call him up when they did Vladimir Guerrero, which, if they do that, that really didn't work last year. But it did work with Bo Bichette when they called him up. So that could boost their rotation to a potential wild card. Now, I don't see them getting in the wild card, but if they do. Red Sox. It says, my question for them is, they have no pitching. So, are they a 4th place team? I think the Blue Jays pitching is better than theirs is right now, considering I think they have a better bullpen and better starting pitching. And I think, as of right now, the Red Sox are a 4th place team. I think possibly it could be a lot better for them if they would have got Yasiel Puig. They didn't. For the Orioles, it's, do they get the worst record in the league? Now, the Orioles, they have a pretty bright future, I would say, considering they're going to have D.L. Hall, Grayson Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman all up soon. But as of right now, they really just don't have good players. With Trey Mancini being out and Jonathan Villar's now on the Marlins, their team kind of sucks for 2020. For the Central, for the Twins, who is their go-to reliever? I think they have a lot of good relievers, but just not one reliever that's a go-to reliever for them. For the White Sox, is, do they sneak into a wild card spot? I think they definitely can. It's just, is their pitching going to be good enough to lead them into a wild card spot? That's my main concern with the White Sox. They have Lucas Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, Reynaldo Lopez, and Michael Kopech opted out, which I think is going to be big for them. They have a really good outfield. Nomar Mazara, Eloy Jimenez, and Luis Robert. Very good outfield. Hitting's very good as well. As far as in the infield, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson, Leury Garcia. That's a big hole in their lineup. First base is Jose Abreu. Edwin Encarnacion at DH, who can hit you 20 or 30 home runs in a regular season. Who knows in a shortened season. And catcher, they've got James McCann or Yasmani Grandal, which are 2 good catchers. Their bullpen, they really just don't have a great bullpen piece except Alex Colomé. For the Indians is, how is their starting pitching without Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer? I think it's going to definitely be hard for the Indians in 2020, and that's in the easiest region possible in the Central, and they're going to have to play the Royals and the Tigers and Mariners. Not the Mariners. I meant the Pirates, and those are 3 easy teams that you can easily sweep series with. It's just, when you get to the back end of that rotation, if you put Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer back into that rotation, I think it would help them a lot. For the Royals, it's how many home runs does Jorge Soler hit, and is Whit Merrifield the MVP in the AL? I'm not exactly sure how many home runs he'll hit. I would say 10 or 15. It's definitely not going to be as good as his 2019 season, but I think it's still going to be pretty good. Whit Merrifield's probably going to have a really high batting average, but they're both on a bad team. And look for one of those to be dealt at the trade deadline as well. Next for the Tigers, that's going to be, do they bring up Casey Mize, a top prospect, right-handed pitcher, from their 60-man player pool? I personally don't think they should, but they probably will, just because they probably want to get him some time in the major leagues for 2021. And that could also be the same thing with Spencer Torkelson if they want to bring him up. For the West, it's the Angels. Is their pitching good enough for them to win the AL West? Their relief pitching is kind of iffy. They do have Kenyon Middleton, who's going to be pretty good, as well as Hansel Robles, who was really good in 2019. But their starting pitching is quite a bit better than it really has been. And that they're going to have Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, Julio Teheran, Shohei Ohtani is also going to be pitching once a week, and some other ones. For the trash can bangers, it's going to be, how's their starting pitching without Garrett Cole? They actually have two questions. But how's their starting pitching without Garrett Cole? I think it's going to be iffy, just because you don't have Zach Greinke, Garrett Cole, and Justin Verlander in there, which adds more depth in the rotation. And another question is, how is their hitting without the trash can baby? I think it's going to be a lot worse, considering they're not going to have trash cans to bank on and not know what pitches are coming, and not having a whistle or a buzzer or whatever. I think they're going to have a disappointing season. That's a little bit of a bold prediction, but I think they're going to have a down season. Rangers, can their starting pitching lead them to a wild card spot? As good as their starting pitching is, I think it definitely can. I think their hitting also is going to have to be good, though. It's not going to have to be great, but it's going to have to be good. Rudy Odor's been awfully disappointing in his career. If he could have a bounce-back season in 2020, that'd be a big help for them. And Robinson Chirinos is also going to probably hit them a few home runs. And Joey Gallo's always going to hit, and they have some pretty good hitting. It's just, do they perform? Their starting pitching, they've got Jordan Lyles, Kyle Gibson, who were pickups in the offseason. They also have Corey Kluber, Lance Lynn, Mike Minor. So they have a really good rotation, and I think if they're not very good to start the season, and when you get to the trade deadline, I think you could possibly see them trade Mike Minor, just because he is on the last year of his deal, and he's going to want some big bucks if he pitches good in 2020. For the Mariners, it's, are they able to get off to a hot start like they did in 2019 and surprise everyone in 2020? So everyone thinks they're going to be a fifth-place team, me included. And I just don't see them being better than that. But could they get off to a hot start, and could they end up being a second or third-place team? Yes, I mean, any team can be. The Marlins could come out and win the NL East. I don't see it, and I don't think it's going to happen. But it definitely could happen. For the A's, with the tough schedule that they're going to have, having to play the Dodgers, the Trash Can Bangers, the Angels, the Rangers are also going to be pretty tough. And they're going to have to play the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Padres. Who knows how the Rockies will be. And the Giants are probably going to be pretty bad. And can they compete in a really tough AL West? I think it's going to be definitely hard for them to compete, because I personally think right now that the Trash Can Bangers, the Rangers, the Angels are all better than them right now. For the NL, the East, Braves, which of their rookies do they bring up? Do they bring up Christian Pache, Drew Waters, Ian Anderson? Christian Pache is probably the best out of these. But Drew Waters and Ian Anderson are probably good as they're really good as well. And Ian Anderson, I think, is probably the most likely. For the Mets, is their relief pitching good enough to lead them to a potential wild card spot? Now, if their relief pitching can be good, I think you could definitely put them in second place. But if not, then they're definitely a third place team. For the Phillies, it's simple. Are they a fourth place team? I think they are. They're starting pitching, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. Besides that, you don't really have much. Relief pitching is bad. I see a disappointing season once again from the Phillies, and the more and more years that they're disappointing, the more and more years that Bryce Harper regrets signing there. Nationals, can they win the World Series once again after losing their best player in Anthony Rendon? Luckily for them, they do have Juan Soto, who's really, really good, and they have a lot of other players. Now, Carter Kieboom's not going to be nearly as good as Anthony Rendon was, and that's kind of self-explanatory, but he could be decent. He could maybe get a Rookie of the Year. For the Marlins, it's how many more wins do they get with their pickups in the offseason? I don't think it's very many, but I think it still could be a few more. They have some potential prospects that can come up. Sixto Sanchez, Jesus Sanchez, and they brought in Jonathan Villar, Jesus Aguilar, Corey Dickerson. Lewis Brinson could finally live up to his potential in a shortened season. I don't see it though. But they could definitely get a couple more wins. Central, for the Cubs, this is a plain and simple question. Are they a fourth place team? I think they're definitely close. I don't think their starting pitching is nearly as bad as the Brewers. So I would go with the Cubs as a third place team right now. Brewers, do they have another disappointing season because of no pitching? I think they do. I think they have a terribly disappointing season. Cardinals, can they win the NL Central with the new Reds team in their division? Because the Reds have pretty much like all new players, except for a few. And the way the new Reds team is, and it's a lot different than it was last year, it's going to be tough to win that division. Reds, how is their relief pitching? That's going to be a big, it's going to be big of whether they are win the division or they're second place. They have Raisel Iglesias, Michael Lorenzen, and a bunch of other players, but it's just, is that good enough? Pirates, do they have the worst record in the NL in 2020? I think they're probably the worst team in the NL right now. I'm thinking the Marlins are better than they are. I'm thinking the Giants or Rockies are better than they are. For the West, Dodgers, how big of a problem is their bad relief pitching? Their relief pitching, it's bad. Kenley Jansen, who knows what he's going to do? Diamondbacks, this season, we could really find out whether they were the winners of the Paul Goldschmidt trade or they were the losers. I think, looking at it right now and looking at the 2019 season, they were probably the winners, and I might do a whole video on it. But I think, as of right now, they're the winners. For the Giants, do they bring up Joey Bart up to be their starting catcher since Posey opted out? I don't think Joey Bart is really necessarily ready for a Major League Baseball season, but whatever. I think that there's probably some other options that they could go with, but Joey Bart could come out and be their best player, possibly. For the Rockies, can Kyle Freeland be their best starting pitcher and help their team to a potential wild card spot? I don't see it. They just really don't have good starting pitching, and I don't see any of that changing in 2020. I think they're still a fourth place team, and it sucks that Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, and Charlie Blackmon can never get into the playoffs, but that's because of terrible starting pitching, and it's kind of hard to pitch in Coors Field. Padres, wild card. Are they a wild card team? I think they definitely can be a wild card team. And I think they can because of Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, and some other players. Like, Will Myers could possibly break out. Eric Hosmer, same thing. Their starting pitching is a big concern for me, though, and their relief pitching is really good. Kirby Yates, Emilio Pagan, and lots of other good pitchers. But their starting pitching is going to be a big concern, and I think it's probably what holds them back from the wild card. So my 2020 MLB season predictions will be coming out soon. But that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more videos soon.